1 minute.
Mine
Okay,
is-
there we go. I hereby call this meeting to order. I'd like to thank tonight's presenters and everyone joining us on Facebook Live. The next on the list is the pledge will be led by Tranner Gokener.
Yes.
Please follow me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Okay, all our board members are in attendance tonight. And there are a couple addendum items which will be including additional information on it's our HR report and a media report and community relations update. Let's see, I would entertain a motion to approve the agenda with the addenda.
I move we approve the agenda with the addendum.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Hearing none opposed, that motion is passed. Next on the agenda is the approval of minutes. I should read the minutes. Are they on here?
Yeah.
Yeah, there they are. Okay, it's a special meeting to review the PCSD roadmap instructional models. That was on November 2nd, 2020. Executive session, student discipline, on November 4th, 2020. Special meeting, work session, November 10th, 2020. Regular board meeting, November 17th, 2020. Special meeting, work session, December 8th, 2020. And executive session, student discipline, December 16th, 2020.
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the minutes with corrections.
Okay,
I'll second the motion.
okay. Any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Hearing none opposed, that motion is passed. Next on the agenda is the approval of the consent agenda, which includes authorizing the payment of claims, approving the supplemental financial information, and approving the amended human resources activity. I'd entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I hereby move that the board approve the consent agenda as presented.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Hearing none opposed, that motion is passed. Next, Courtney Fish will provide the January recognitions.
Good evening. How's everybody this evening?
Good evening.
Well, thank you.
So tonight we're going to recognize several individuals who through their actions support and embody our district's mission to think more, learn more, and be more together. Our district believes a safe, supportive, caring, and a respectful environment is critical to student learning. Thus, we have our CAKE Awards. The School District 25 Education Foundation, in partnership with McDonald's, supports the Learner of the Month Award to recognize one elementary learner and one secondary learner from our district from October through May. The CAKE Award celebrates positive character, attitude, kindness, and encouragement toward others. In addition to being recognized here tonight at the monthly board meeting, the recipients will also receive treats related to cupcakes delivered to their classrooms and to be enjoyed among their peers. Nominations for the CAKE Award are submitted by a teacher who has observed the nominee's behavior and are approved by the school's principal. So tonight, joining us via live stream is Austin Heisel and his teacher, Mrs. Mandy Burrell. Can you see us? And can you hear us okay, Austin? So Austin is a second grader, and he is currently enrolled in our online learning program, and his home school is Ellis Elementary School. So Austin, you're a pro at these Google Meets, aren't you? Give us a thumbs up, right? And Mrs. Burrell is currently teaching him in the second grade. In her nomination letter, Mrs. Burrell wrote, "This year has been different in so many ways, but the one thing that hasn't changed, even while navigating teaching online, is the sweet personalities. Even through a screen, teacher and student relationships are made. Austin makes sure of that. He is prompt and on time to every Google Meet. He welcomes the students by name as they enter the meet and tells them goodbye by name at the end. While on mute, he still seems to encourage many students, either by asking questions that the others may also need an answer to, or showing an example how to fix a problem. He is brave and willing to try new things and doesn't give up when he is in the pit. He may get worried or frustrated like we all do when we learn something new, but he is willing to ask and learn and always says thank you for the help. Austin shows respect with his peers as well as a teacher, and I sure have enjoyed him being in my online class. So thank you for joining us tonight with your family, Austin. And in addition to being recognized here in front of our board members this evening, we're going to recognize you among your peers. I'm not sure how we're going to do that yet. We haven't really talked about it because this is our first online cake award. But we will have a special treat that Ms. Burrell can get somehow. We'll make arrangements to get those treats to every classmate in your online class, okay? And then you'll also, both you and your teacher will receive a gift card from McDonald's. So that's pretty cool that they sponsor that for us. Yeah, that's pretty exciting. And then your library, this is my favorite part. Your library is going to get a $50 donation in your name so you can help choose those books. And then you'll get to sign your name in those books. So when other students check them out from the library, they'll see your name and that you received the cake award. What do you think, Austin? I can see why you love his personality. Thank you so much for joining us tonight, you guys. And please help me congratulate Austin for being a great example to his peers with the cake award.
Way to go, Austin.
Thanks, Austin. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Good luck in school. Keep working hard. What? No, that's the last Google Meet. Okay, now we have our secondary learner of the month for our cake award, and joining us this evening via Google Meet. So even though we can't see, they are still watching us live on our live stream on YouTube. Miss Jaslyn Wortham and her teacher, Mr. Case Stainer. So hello, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us and watching us with this presentation tonight. So Jaslyn is a 10th grader at Highland High School, and in his nomination letter, Mr. Stainer wrote, Jaslyn Wortham is an excellent choice for the cake award because she exemplifies excellent dedication to her schoolwork every day and is an example to her classmates and the vision of the Pocatello Chubbuck School District 25. Jaslyn is enrolled in my credit recovery class. What separates her from her classmates is that she has moved a lot with her family, having lived in multiple states and having attended various school districts. Students that are enrolled in credit recovery do not have much of an opportunity to enroll in the fun extracurricular classes that their other classmates do. Each day, she dedicates her time toward completing her assignments and puts forth an extreme amount of effort to pass her classes required for graduation. As her instructor, I have never once heard her complain. What also makes Jaslyn a great selection for the cake award is she is an exceptionally nice person, and it is always a pleasure to have her in class. Jaslyn always has a happy attitude which brightens the mood in any class. Sometimes she's timid, but when she opens up, you always know that whatever she is going to say will be something friendly and not self-boasting. I have felt it a privilege to be the credit recovery instructor for Jaslyn these past few weeks. I'm extremely proud of her dedication to working so hard to pass the classes she needs for graduation when she could be involved in other fun extracurricular courses. I have full confidence in Jaslyn succeeding throughout the remainder of her secondary education and into the future for whatever she decides to pursue. Jaslyn's entire persona is someone who succeeds. So Jaslyn, we congratulate you, and we also will be recognizing you among your peers with a special cupcake treat for everyone in your class. And you and Mr. Leland will also receive a gift card from McDonald's, and your school library will also receive a $50 donation to purchase books in your name, also as a courtesy from our partner, McDonald's. So please join me in congratulating Jaslyn for being named our Secondary Learner of the Month for character, attitude, kindness, and encouragement. Now we have our January Employee of the Month, which is our PIES Award. And here joining us in person is Miss Kelly Dial, and joining her from the Transportation Department is Jeff Corrington. If you'll join me at the podium, please. Thank you for being here. So tonight, we are recognizing Mrs. Kelly Dial as January's Pies Award recipient. Last week, a staff member took the time to reach out to me and make an appointment because they, and I'm using they because this person wanted to remain anonymous, so I'm going to use the pronoun they and their. They wanted to remain anonymous, but they also wanted to do a special recognition. They said that Mrs. Dial and her efforts to go above and beyond in really challenging circumstances is second to none, and wanted to recognize Kelly. But in addition to that, wanted to recognize the entire transportation administrative team, including the mechanics, because they are all bending over backwards to really make this district run on time, on schedule, getting our kids to and from school safely, on time, and giving them the start to their day and the end to their day to help them be successful. This person said the whole department is stepping up and big and doing a fantastic job. Our routes are all different. They've made lots of adjustments to meet the needs. And at times, our drivers have been scared and uncomfortable. And Kelly and the rest of the team just step up and do it. And they do it with a smile on their face and cheer in their hearts. It's been inspiring to this person because she said the drivers really need that extra boost of confidence right now. It's just been really hard, and this is just the extra thing that they've needed to keep going. So this person also said what an amazing culture in the transportation department they have because of the amazing leadership that Kelly and the team provide. They understand that what we do makes a big impact in a student's life. And Kelly's the driving force behind this. She does it all and makes it look effortless with no complaint, and she's always got a smile on her face. This person said, I don't think people realize how much the transportation department contributes to the whole school district mission to be more together. And so we wanted to make this an extra effort tonight to present this to you and make it just a really big statement that they're keeping this ship running. There's a section from Chairman Matson's column that ran this past Saturday that echoes these sentiments, and I want to share it with you. He wrote, from my vantage point, the school district delivers a whole system of care for thousands of children that starts with our bus drivers and other district personnel who fulfill critical functions to serve the diverse needs of our learners. When a normally upbeat child gets on the bus, off his mark, our bus drivers take notice. Sometimes it's a matter of a friendly hello or taking notice of just one small individual detail about the child, like the cool color of his shoes, that can redirect his day on a more positive path. Other times, it's a red flag alert that the bus driver communicates to the child's school community resource worker, who can then help identify any resources we can provide to help that child better succeed. They really are the front line of everything we do in this district, and we appreciate their dedication to our kids, our schools, and our district. With this nomination, this person said this team gives us the confidence to do a tough job, and she also mentioned, in addition to Kelly for the Pies Award, Craig Leby, who's the transportation supervisor, Jeff Corrington, Warren Ferguson, Curtis Austin, Craig Welker, Bill Eldridge, and Justin Urban. And so we just have a little special treat for you guys back there. And Kelly, as the Pies Award recipient, you're going to get a Visa gift card, $50, from ISU Credit Union, now known as Lookout Credit Union. So that's something I'll be sharing more information with you later. And then you get the certificate. So please help me join Kelly for this Pies Award, and also just giving a special shout out to the Transportation Department for everything you guys do.
Oh, you got a- This is legal?
Thanks, Kelly. Excellent.
And they're all driving bus when we need them to, the mechanics and all. So thank you again. That concludes our recognitions for this evening.
Okay. Okay, next on the agenda is time for public or written comment on topics not pertinent to the agenda. We've received one letter, and you've all read this, okay, beforehand, okay? And there's no one else here to give us comments, so we'll move on. And it's time for the student representative reports, and I only know one of you, So, Highland High School, you're up first. Are you here? Oh,
Yep,
would
there
you
he is.
tell us your name? Eith- Yeah, okay, either one. Yep,
So I'm Emma Parrish, and I'm representing Highland.
thank you.
We are proud of our Highland coach, Cade Ackley, who was chosen as the 2020 Idaho Strength and Conditioning Coach of the Year. Our drama program is preparing for the spring musical, Les Mis. And we want to offer congratulations to our speech and debate team, who took third out of 26 schools in the Black Snake competition. Our wrestling team, who took first at the Tiger and Grizz Invitational last week. And our cheer team, who took first in sideline, second in show, and third in pom last weekend at the Madison Invite.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Next is, let's see, who do we have here? Pocatello High School? Okay, would you state your name, please? I don't recognize you.
It's hard to do that.
So I'm representing Pokey. My name is Gracie Baird. So we are creating a PHS Charter FFA student organization. We have officially submitted the charter paperwork, established a team of student officers, and are creating our plan of activities for this year and next. We hope to start competing at career development events and doing community service projects moving forward this year. Highwire Robotics is up and running. The robotics team has students from all 3 high schools and homeschooled students. We are excited to have redesigned and compete with last year's robot. We have an impressive team and robot. This year's regional events will be held in Pocatello, Idaho in May, assuming FRC allows live regionals. The Pocatello High School Junior Civitan Club participated with the Century and Highland Junior Civitan Club in Rake a Difference fundraiser for the Pocatello Free Clinic in November. We also wrote notes on Christmas cards for each of the veterans in the veterans home and delivered them before Christmas. Yesterday, we participated in the Heart of the West District Junior Civitan online meet and greet hosted by Century's Junior Civitan Club. We have 12 members of this club. Student government provided 60 families with Christmas and Thanksgiving dinner boxes. We also provided 90 people with Christmas. And lastly, our sports teams are working hard and finding success. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, from Century High School, Tranner Gokener. Do it right? Yes.
Esteemed members of the board, Dr. Howell, members of the community, thank you all for the opportunity to represent the great students and staff at Century High School. I'm proud to give a report of the many happenings at 7810 Diamondback Drive. Surely, like everyone else, we are happy to put 2020 behind us, and we finally made it. We're anxious to see where 2021 has in store for us, and we all have high hopes and expectations for a bright future. We have many things happening at Century High School currently and plans for the future. The Century Student Council successfully completed our holiday charity campaign called Holiday Hunger Games. This event in the past has raised over $1,000 to feed, clothe, and otherwise provide gifts for at-risk and in-need Century students and families. This last year had low expectations but finished with remarkable results. All told, we were able to provide care packages, presents, food, and other necessary items through an overwhelming community response to over 20 families. Throughout the campaign, our school was a mountain of festivity, and the school-wide unity through decorations, camaraderie, and ultimately service to others was tangible. This past holiday season was memorable for all the right reasons. Academically, since we last met, we have reached the midterm of the trimester. I can safely report that while the struggle is real for many students and their families, our student body continues to show resilience, determination, and grit. We appreciate our faculty and our administration's ongoing efforts to see all the needs and go above and beyond the call of duty. With the recent traumatic events in our nation's capital, many classes, lessons, and students have had unceremoniously found the limelight. The Constitution is coming to life hour by hour. These events have sparked necessary dialogue in almost every academic discipline. Questions are being raised at school and at home and have rarely been asked before. As students, we are grateful to be in a safe place with knowledgeable, caring, and compassionate professionals that are willing to engage in social topics that are meaningful to our generation. In the arts, every group is busy with the prime performing seasons. Our choir is preparing a commissioned piece of music written for Century's choral department. Our band is working hard at multicultural, ethnically diverse performances, which, like choir, will be recorded on YouTube and presented in late February. Our drama department celebrated taking first place in state drama shortly before the holiday break and is midway through their preparations for a March performance of an Elvis-themed musical called All Shook Up. This performance will feature a collaborative effort between Century performers and a noted Broadway New York choreographer who has been working closely with the drama department over the past few weeks. Athletically, our winter sports are showing full swing of their seasons, and we are proud to see on-court and on-mat successes reflect the many months of hard work and dedication. Girls basketball, boys basketball, and wrestling have all remained in the top 5 of the statewide rankings for most or of all seasons. More than anything, if you ask student athletes, they're just happy to be playing, and altogether, they would not trade that for anything. As happy as the basketball players and wrestlers may be, perhaps it is the cheerleaders and parents who are most excited, as now they can cheer on the sideline and perform at halftimes, and just be there to watch. As our spring next season's participant starts preparing for the next season, hope is high that they will get to play this spring. All told, as you can see, we are very busy right now. We are proud of who we are, what we are, and where we are. We thank you, the board, for continued service and wish everyone a happy and healthy new year.
Thank you, Trina. Next is New Horizons High School, which is excused.
Sue is going to read her.
Sue, okay. Okay.
Their student rep isn't feeling fantastic, so they sent one.
Okay.
Said New Horizons is doing great in 2021. Last year, before Thanksgiving break, they had a hat drive. Students donated $1 or a can of food, and they were able to wear hats in school. Staff even joined in on the fun, and with this drive, they were able to provide Thanksgiving meals for many families in their schools. For 2021, the staff is focusing on both the academic progress and overall well-being of each student. They've just begun their 4th block, and the teachers are doing great keeping students caught up academically. They anticipate 100 graduates in May, hopefully our biggest class ever, at least so far. Our staff is also engaged in learning. They're engaged in a professional development and reading The Body Keeps the Score, and are becoming more trauma-informed in our practices. The school community is optimistic for the rest of 2021 and looking forward to celebrating with our families at graduation this year.
Thank you. Students, thank you for your time. I'd love you to stay tonight and listen to us for another 2 hours, but you are excused if you'd like to leave. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now we have time for the media report and community relations update, provided by Courtney Fisher.
Hello again. So for January 2021, this reflects everything that's happened since our last regular board meeting on December 15th. The following education topics have frequented recent news. The legislature's back in session, so we can expect to hear even more news coming out of the legislature in terms of education and what that picture is going to look like moving forward. The state board is taking a look at the first look at proposed new academic standards. The continuation of our hybrid model and target of March 1st to potentially return to in-person learning district-wide has been in the news. And our ease up on restrictions, as our student representative from Century pointed out, for spectators at athletic events, that has been really popularly received. Local rollout of vaccines, and we as educators were moved up in that timeline. That was the question Mrs. Craner had at our last meeting, was where we were at in that timeline, and we were moved up, and so we were able to have our first vaccination clinics. District 25 is continuing to provide free breakfast and lunch through the end of the school year, so we've gotten some positive press on reaching nearly 1 million. I'm sure we've surpassed that by now. Free breakfast and lunch meals since March of 2020, so it's going to be really interesting to see what that final number will be at the end of the year. I emailed links of articles of interest to you, and it's also included in your addendum this evening. Some of our stats for our social media, our live streaming of board meetings. The regular board meeting on December 15th had 435 views. Our January 5th special session had 948 views. So you can see when we're talking about next steps and our instructional model, those views go drastically up. Our January 12th work session had 92 views. So you can see the difference there. Over the past 28 days, we've increased our Facebook followers to 10,244. Our page views trended down slightly, but I look at these trends because they tell a story, and that story is we were on break for 2 weeks, and so it makes sense. We weren't posting during that time frame, so that viewership is down. We are at 400 followers on Twitter and 1,100 followers on Instagram. Google Analytics for the last 28 days. This is also interesting. We went down from 18,000 viewers last month to 17 in 31,000 sessions, and 57.4% of those users were accessing our website from their mobile phones, which is a huge uptick from the 49% the previous month. But again, with people probably off work, spending time with their families at the holidays, accessing our site on their mobile phones instead of a desktop makes sense. So I love the stories that that data tells us. The most frequently visited pages, we had 75,000 page views. Our home had 26,000, almost 27,000 hits. When we released our hybrid schedule, some modifications to that because of holiday weeks, that was our second in the last 28 days with 3,500 hits. Our elementary school food services page is always one of our top hits for people checking menus and stuff. Our weekly case status report for our COVID numbers, that continues to be a highly frequented page. PHS Home, and that's likely due to the mascot continuing to collect feedback on what that new mascot imagery is going to be. Food Services Administration, Human Resources, Wilcox Home, that hit the top 10, and I did a little digging into that because I was interested to see why. And Wilcox had posted a page with their holiday program. And so that page and their video page with those programs got thousands of hits. And so that really tells me that when we do special programs with our schools and post those for people to view, people take notice. And so that's something that we can look forward to doing more of, because that's a great way to engage our parents and our families. In other district news, so the Education Foundation, we just announced the 3rd annual Terry Perkins Scholarship application. That window is now open. So we are accepting applications through March 1st, and those scholarship recipients will be announced the week of April 5th. We just announced it last week. We've got, I think, 5 applications so far, and that will rise. We get more and more every year that we've been doing this. The supplemental levy, we've published our supplemental levy fact sheet called Understanding School District 25 Supplemental Levy. That's posted to our website. We will also begin our first levy presentations this Thursday, January 21st. As I mentioned earlier, we started our vaccination clinics. It was a celebratory moment to have. We gave 222 doses, I believe, and everyone who came through, we had bus drivers, we had paraprofessionals, we had principals, we had the mix of everybody in our district. And it was just really celebratory and really gives us something to look forward to, that next step to bringing all learners back. I wanted to bring your attention some of our community partners that have gone above and beyond to really help us do this really quickly. And Shaver Pharmacy and Mog Pharmacy are our vaccination providers that are helping us roll these clinics out so quickly. And we'll continue to roll those out to as many staff members that want to receive that. And then, as I mentioned earlier, ISU Credit Union announced today, they've been leading up to this new brand for weeks now and doing a daily countdown, and they announced today that they will now be known as Lookout Credit Union. So that's really important for us as a school community to know, because they are one of our largest educational partners. And so from now on, they'll be known as Lookout Credit Union, and they're really excited about that change. Any questions? Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, that's that. Okay, it's time for board reorganization. Superintendent, you want to take the chair? Or you want to stay there?
I'll just, from here, if I could, Mr. Chairman. Just, yeah, we can leave it there.
Okay,
So tonight, as the board considers the reorganization of the different officers, I will be accepting the nominations for the chair. And so with that, excuse me, the criteria for the election of board chair is based on the following. It is interest in serving, experience on the board, holding a previous office on the board, availability, and willingness to be the spokesperson for the board. And so you've had an opportunity to think about this for a time, at least since you have the packet. And so I would accept nominations for board chair, please.
I'd nominate Dave for the chair.
I'll second.
Okay, any other nominations? We have a first and a second. Any further discussion? How about a vote? All those in favor of Mr. Mattson to be the chair for the the 21 school, not school year, but the January of 21 through January or December of 22.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, it sounds like all in the affirmative. So, Mr. Chairman, I'll turn it back over to you for the remainder of the offices.
thank you. Okay, next, nominations for vice chair.
I would nominate Mr. Vitale.
I'll second that.
You know, I'm gonna, since I've had all this health business,
Issues?
I'm gonna say,
Pass.
I'm gonna say no.
Yeah.
And I would nominate or I would just refuse this one and
Okay.
turn it over to somebody else.
I'll nominate Jackie Trainer.
I'll second that.
That would be fine with me.
Okay. Okay. Is there, I guess I have the motion and I have a second, so any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion is passed, and Jackie, you are the vice chair.
Okay.
Next, conduct nominations for assistant clerk. Is there a motion?
I'd nominate Mr. Facer.
I can second that.
I'm quite sure what a clerk does.
You sign papers.
Yeah, yes.
I do what?
You sign a lot
Sign
of papers.
Oh. Well,
You feel good about it?
yeah, I can probably do that.
Okay, all right. Is there a motion?
I move that we,
Yeah.
Oh, and we get a second too? Okay, good. You're getting rubby already. Any discussion? All those in favor?
aye.
Say aye. Hearing none opposed, that motion is passed. And the last is conduct a nomination for assistant treasurer. Is there a motion?
I nominate Janie Gephardt.
I'll second that.
I would second that.
Okay. Any discussion?
Yeah.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
No.
Hearing none, that motion is passed. And Janie, you are the new assistant treasurer. Next, we have appoint the treasurer, clerk, and backup clerks. Recommended, okay, we'll read this. It is recommended that the board appoint Mr. Bart Reed as treasurer, Ms. Renee Johnson as clerk, and Ms. Tara Jensen and Ms. Cheryl Marley as backup clerks. Is there a motion?
I'll move that we appoint those persons to those particular jobs.
I'll second that.
Okay, probably no discussion. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And hearing none opposed, that motion is passed. The next is to appoint the custodian of public records. It is recommended that the board appoint Ms. Courtney Fisher and Ms. Renee Johnson as custodians of public records.
I move we appoint Renee Johnson and Courtney Fisher as custodians of public records.
I second that.
Okay? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Hearing none opposed, that motion is passed. And then the next is to appoint the district's auditor for the 21-22 school year. It's recommended, I remember when I was first here, Deaton and Associates, we did it for the second year too. I said, you can't do that. You can't have, you know, yes, you can. It is recommended that the board appoint Deaton and Company as the district's independent auditor for the 21-22 school year. Is there a motion?
I move that we appoint Eaton and Company as the independent auditor for the school district.
I'll second.
Okay.
21-22 year.
Okay, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Hearing none opposed, that motion is passed. And next, to designate the posting locations. It is recommended that the board designate the Education Service Center, district website, and district social media sites, including Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. In addition, meeting notices are sent to local media representatives. Is there a motion?
I move that we designate the Education Service Center and district website and district social media sites as posting locations for the 21-22 school year.
I'll second.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Hearing none opposed, that motion is passed. And next on the agenda is volunteer for board committees. And the board committees include the Calendar Committee, the SIP Long Range Planning Committee, and the District Curriculum Committee. Are there any volunteers? There's two each on these?
Yeah.
Two each, okay.
I'll be happy to stay on the SIP committee.
Okay. Well, the first one's calendar.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
There's
It
an
wasn't
order.
clear to me when they met.
Well, Lori, why did you pick the date you met this year for the calendar committee?
For calendar.
That was the question.
What day,
how
what
did
day do you meet?
We just need one, it's in, December, we usually meet. Is that what you're saying?
Could you do it on a Monday or Tuesday instead of a?
Well,
Wednesday,
by
Thursday?
then I will be hopefully stopping driving.
Okay, all right.
If you don't do it till December.
One or two meetings in December.
Yes,
Yeah.
there was just
Okay.
one.
I'd-
Like at 4 o'clock and a little bit to the right.
Okay.
And we had a record time this time, didn't we? 37 minutes or something like that? Yes, everybody was happy. So anybody would like to? I'll do it
So
again.
I'll do it.
Okay, you got two of us. The SIP Long Range Planning Committee?
I'll stay.
I'll stay on there too.
Okay. And then the last is the Curriculum Committee, and
I'll do that.
pick me.
Yeah, I'll do it.
Or do you want to do it?
Well-
You've been doing it for 12 years and you're good at it.
I love being on that committee.
Well, good.
I can't do it though till I stop driving.
Okay, then we'll make a change. I'll do it until you can't. You
Okay.
can be here, okay.
All right.
Okay, and I'll
You got it. It's all worked out.
Well, it may be as early as June.
and I'll do it too.
Yeah, we made a high-level decision there, didn't we? Okay, that's done. Let's see. Next is time for Chuck Orr. Chuck, it's time for you with information on the SAT College Entrance Exam update.
It's good to see you, Chuck.
It's good to see you, too.
You sure look good.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So you have included in your packet a memo from last May when you voted to maintain the college entrance exam requirement for the class of 2021, unless otherwise directed by the State Board of Education. We knew then that through the rulemaking process, the state board could ultimately waive the requirement for this group of learners, but it wouldn't be done before the October 2020 administration of the SAT for seniors. You also have included a memo from the State Department of Education, and as expected, the state board did waive the requirement at their meeting on December 17th. No action is needed on your part this evening by virtue of the way the motion was approved last May. So we just wanted to bring you an update and update you on the new action that was taken by the state board to waive that requirement for the class of 2021.
If a child wants to take the class, we'll provide it?
A vast majority of them already took it in October.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
so. Any questions?
So that means then that it's not required for college entrance?
It already wasn't required for college entrance, but they still maintained the graduation requirement. And that's what they acted on in December, is they removed it as a graduation requirement just for that group of students. That doesn't apply to this year's juniors, who will still take it this coming spring. All right, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Lori, 21st Century After-School Program, and others.
And others. So for the
How are
20,
you doing, Lori?
I'm
Yeah,
doing
look at-
great.
Ready to start sprinting now.
Well, not quite that great, but, you know, but I will be, yeah. No, doing really well, so, yeah. 21st Century After School Program has enrolled 122 students. You know, we've kept our enrollment down at the sites, so that's, you know, we've done well keeping those spots filled. They average 16 students a day attending at the sites. The preschool program has 10 students who are enrolled in the after-school program in PM session. So in the afternoons, they are enrolled in a preschool. And so we have 10 students there over at Tendoy for, they leave when the other students leave at 2 o'clock, so they're about 11 to 2. We were able to add a morning session of 10 students also for the preschool, and we were able to fund that through Title I. And we started that last week, so we're excited about having 20 preschoolers over at Tendoy getting preschool services there. And the preschool does go Tuesday through Friday. Next in your packet is the Idaho Food Bank Backpack Program report, and I'll just note that December, you know, was a short month for school, yet you'll see that we were able to distribute 966 backpacks. So our community resource workers, social workers, and counselors, you know, they help students have extra food and made sure that they got extra allotments so that we were able to carry them over through the holidays. So I always look to see what that number is and to see if we've been able to distribute, because we know that that's a couple of weeks there that students may be needing some food. So I'm always pleased to see that. Then Head Start program report. For the ERSI, the enrollment at the end of December, they had 131 children enrolled. It's an increase of 1 from the previous month. The full-day program is fully enrolled with 40 children. The part-day program has 91 children enrolled and has 16 openings, and there were no withdrawals. The December ADA was 84.96%, and that's based on the number of days the children are scheduled and then are physically present. In personnel, there's 3 openings, 2 for a family advocates, 2 classroom aides, and 1 bus driver position. 5 policy council parents and our IHSA board parent representative attended the virtual NHSA, so National Head Start Association, Parent and Family Engagement Conference. Sessions included understanding their role on policy council and ways to increase opportunities for families to be more engaged in the program. For the facilities, the facility application is still pending. It's in their hands now. And the program's monthly virtual conference meeting with the Office of Head Start Region 10 is this Friday. So hopefully we'll have an update at that time. It's time for the annual self-assessment, and an updated self-assessment plan is included in your packet. The process remains the same, just the dates have been changed to reflect the 2020-2021 school year. Head Start Management Policy Council and the board will have the opportunity to review the findings during the annual planning session the last week of February. And later in the agenda, you'll be asked to entertain a request to approve the self-assessment plan. Okay. Any questions?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Sue Pettit, early graduation request.
So currently we have 5 students that are requesting to graduate early at the end of this trimester. Most of them are going to work or continue with the job that they already have to save for college. All of them have been talked to repeatedly about advanced opportunities and staying in school and taking advantage of that, and they've said thank you, but no. So they would like to get on with their life. And then our next thing is our attendance policy, and this is for second reading. And again, what we're changing in that policy part of it is the athletics and the attendance. If they changed before the beginning of their 9th grade, then they won't have the penalty of sitting 365, and the rest of it is based on IHSAA rules for transfers. So we're just going to go with like the rest of the state does. We did have one comment about our attendance policy. It had to do actually with the sibling rule, and reached out to that set of parents and reminded them that we have open enrollment going on right now, and that if they were interested in putting in for a transfer, their best time to do that would be right now, and they had done that, so. Yep,
Okay, good, thank you.
yep, so, about one day after I called them, so. Okay,
I
questions?
think sometimes they forget about the other avenues.
Mhm.
Yeah, open
Yep,
to them,
so-
you know, so.
So we got an email about the grandfathered kids into,
That's what she's talking
that's
That's what
still,
I'm talking about.
that's still in effect, isn't it?
No, it is not.
Oh, it's
It
not.
ended last year.
Oh, okay,
Yep.
It was a 5-year plan, and it ended last year.
okay.
But
Okay.
that's what they made
They were
use
asking
of,
for, and we,
Okay.
Yeah,
the alternative one.
yep, so instead we reminded them about transfers and open enrollment, so.
Okay, thank you for
Okay.
clearing that up.
And the only
Fine.
added is the final reading. Final reading of the gifts and contributions to the schools policy. We did add, I think we talked about that before, that first bullet with the code ethics and the
Mhm.
$50 and so forth. But we are putting this in a Google form type format so that we can have them very accessible to people that want to actually help and process with donations and gifts. Do you have any questions?
all our administrators, they know how to fill out the forms and
We're going to teach
how
them.
to talk.
As soon as we
talk.
pass this policy, we're going to go through that process, yes.
Okay, and again, I'll ask if some rich guy comes in and wants
Send him my
to-
direction.
He wants to put money into one athletic facility,
Absolutely.
that can
We
happen.
yep, we're almost on the final touches of putting the video together and the pamphlet together on what that process would look like.
Thank you.
You bet. Any more questions? It's good to see everybody.
Straightforward.
Okay,
Good
thank
to
you.
see you too.
Thank you.
Okay. Bart, you got quite a few agenda items here.
I apologize for that.
Just fine.
Thank you, Chairman Madsen, members of the board, and Superintendent Howell. Well, we have some good news for the most part overall. The Idaho General Fund Revenue Report, if you have been following that, you know that typically in the month of December, they'll go through and do a budget adjustment. And so when we had $100 and some odd million surplus, if you look now, it's only $36 million, but that isn't because the revenue has shrunk or diminished, it's because they revised the budget. The important part, I guess, is if you compared our year-to-date now compared to what it was a year ago at the state level, they are $289 million ahead of their budget last year, or just about 16%. So that's about the best economic report that we have had over a long duration of time. And there's no signs of it slowing down for the current moment. So that is the good news there. So that will serve us well as the legislature reconvenes and as they meet and talk about education and other needs for the state of Idaho there.
Will they rescind that 5% holdback?
We're going to talk about that in just a moment. If you might hold on that question, I'll make sure that I touch that. The next item is just our free and reduced percentages. We're still sitting at about 44.5%, and again, that's just because we have not had any changes for quite some time now until we get through where they start accepting new forms and they make us go through the new eligibility and all those sorts of things. So not a lot to report there. However, I did include some new information for you that I thought you might be of interest. With COVID-19 and with our elementary attending full-time, but our secondary schools doing 2 days on and then the 3 days of online learning, just wanted to report to you that overall, we are serving about 1,535 breakfasts every day. And for lunch, it was about 3,950 meals every day. Of course, all of those meals right now until June 30th are free to all students. So not as many as we did when we had all of our students back full-time and in our schools 5 days a week, but certainly more than we have had before because of the free meals that the government has provided through their program. Let's see, the next item is our ridership, and we recognize the Transportation Department a little bit earlier this evening for their efforts and all that they've been doing. Our ridership has decreased this year to 2,536 students, and that's a decrease of about 40%. And the reason for that is because at the secondary level, we only have students coming on certain days and other days that they are off. But even if we had students all back full-time, we've had a little bit of a decrease overall in our enrollment. I think parents are taking their kids to school a little bit more than they were the prior year. So that will not hurt us in regard to our transportation reimbursement, but just one of the required steps as part of statute there. All right, let's see. Chairman Mattson, with your permission, if I could maybe talk about the federal funding piece and then get back into the governor's and the state superintendent's recommendation, it might fit a little bit better. So you are probably aware that there's a second round of federal funding coming for public schools. The acronym of that is CRRSA, or Coronavirus Response and Relief Supplemental Appropriation. That's a mouthful, as you know. The funding for public schools is coming through what's called ESSER, and they're calling it ESSER2, and then another acronym as well. What that means to us in a nutshell is that over the next almost 3 years, we will be able to participate and apply for nearly $8.6 million of federal funding. Now this federal funding is awarded to our district and other districts throughout. I mean, that's the portion for School District 25. It still has the same guidelines and the same intention as far as using this for prevention, for healthcare services of the coronavirus, etc. However, in this new allocation that has been given, there are 4 areas that they have expanded on as additional appropriate expenditures, if you will. And I just want to make you aware of that because in the coming month or months, as we meet as an administrative team with Dr. Howell, and as we talk about a plan of how we're going to spend this $8.6 million of federal dollars, you need to know that there are some additional broader uses of this money than what we've had in the past. And those additional uses are, and I'm just going to abbreviate them for the most part, addressing learning loss among students, which is a new component that since we've now been almost a year into the coronavirus, now we're addressing learning loss for some of the students that have not had to make up or have not been able to keep up as much on their learning as they would have otherwise. That includes administering and using high-quality assessments, implementing evidence-based activities, providing information and assistance to parents so that they can effectively support their students, and then tracking student attendance and improving in student engagement in distance education. So that's the first new one. The second one is school facility repairs and improvements, which is the new category to enable the operation of schools to reduce the risk of the transmission of the environment. The third one is inspection, testing, maintenance, repair, replacement, and upgrade projects to improve the indoor air quality in school facilities, including mechanical and non-mechanical heating, ventilation, and air conditioning systems. That's what we call HVAC typically. Filtering, purification, and other clean air cleaning, fans, control systems, and window and door repair replacement. So a lot more in regard to facility improvement that we did not have the option of doing previously. And then this last one might be kind of a catch-all, but it says other activities that are necessary to maintain the operation of and the continuity of services in the local educational agencies and continuing to employ existing staff of the local educational agency. So those are all new categories, expanded categories within this new round of money that will be coming to us. And so again, we will be talking about a game plan of how we can put this budget together to best fit within our instructional programs and also benefit our facilities for the learning of students. Any questions about that? That's kind of a brief and quick overview, but.
So it's basically pretty much all earmarked money, but I do like the idea of their loss of learning category, you know, for kids who have struggled through this, I think.
And we talked about that. Dr. Howe could talk about it more, but we did talk about that extensively this morning, just as we were talking about how we would maybe approach some of this and the ways in which we could do some of it.
Yeah, that's great.
Okay. All right. Falling back then to the state public school foundation program, which is the state superintendent's recommendation for fiscal year 22. I have to remember which year we're in. Right? Is it 22 or 23? 22. That's right. For 22, and also the governor's recommendation. You know, I think that as we listen to the proposal and the webinar that came out the other day, we all had a little bit of a shock factor. One of the things that is in place in this year's budget right now is that 5% governor's holdback. And Mr. Mattson, this comes back to your question. We still are under the 5% governor's holdback throughout the whole entire state. But as we reviewed the governor's recommendation and the state superintendent's recommendation, one of the surprises that came out of that presentation was that Governor Little is proposing and recommending to the legislature that they unfreeze the career ladder for this fiscal year that we are currently in, not next year, but this fiscal year, and that they fund movement in the career ladder for teachers. Now, we listened to that, and I think we were all kind of thinking, is he referring to next year or this year? Because this is unprecedented. This is, to my knowledge, has never happened to date. But he was very clear that this is for this fiscal year. The other thing that was a little unusual is that they were not allocating any additional state funds in this year's budget to make that happen, but rather shifting the pot of money around. So you know that we receive money for salaries and benefits, and then the third pot of money is our discretionary money, or we call our operational funding. So those are the three sources that we receive from the same state agency, the Department of Education, for public finance. What Governor Little is proposing or recommending is that we take that discretionary money, okay, that we get, and that they take $51 million from that discretionary pool and they put it toward the career ladder. What that means is then we have more money to implement movement and the career ladder during this fiscal year, although we've already kind of crossed that bridge, so to speak, by way of budgeting, negotiations, etc. And they decrease the discretionary funding. And so it's revenue neutral, meaning it doesn't add to or diminish from the overall funding for local districts. but it just shifts the way that it can be done. And this ties back into why I wanted to talk about the federal dollars. The rationale behind that is that there are some uses of that $8.9 million that we can use toward helping out with some of those discretionary funds. Now, as I say that, I say it in regard to we still have to meet the guidelines and all the assurances for those federal dollars, but if there are ways that we can offset some of our discretionary spending with those federal funds, then that's how we're supposed to make this all work. Now, we, when I say we, Dr. Howell, myself, the cabinet, we've talked about this to some extent. We're not exactly sure how it is all going to work, or if it's going to work in the same manner in which it's intended, but that is what is being proposed. It's kind of like shifting sand in the sandbox, so to speak. So we will have some more discussion about this. Please be aware that while this is being recommended, it is yet to be approved. It still has to be approved by the state legislature in order to take effect for this year. So we will watch very closely to see what happens over the coming weeks and to see how this all unfolds, and I'm sure that we'll be having more discussion with you as a board and the administrative team as well. I don't know that I can answer any questions, but I'll
I'm
attempt.
just finding myself a bit confused because you set a budget and it sounds like this is, retro affecting our budget.
Well, yes, it is unusual, very, very unusual to take this type of fiscal management policy and to do this, 7 months into the school year. But nonetheless, I think their intentions are good at the state level. It just may be the implementation at a local level to make this all work right. And I think that that's what we're struggling with a little bit. In my mind, and this is just my opinion, I could see much more clearly of, okay, well, we just give 2 years of movement in next fiscal year rather than do something with 5 months left in the year after you've settled, after the dust has settled and you've balanced budgets and everything. But that's not the situation that we're up against right now with his recommendation. So not to appear ungrateful or appreciative of the efforts of our governor for education and all those sorts of things, but I think we're just going to have to work through the mechanics of all this to see how it all unfolds. And that's really about the best explanation that we can give you at this point in time.
So it just seems like the configuration of it all between the federal and what the governor has proposed and everything to make it work with what you can use for it.
Well, let me give you an example, and maybe this will help clear the water just a little bit. And this is just the simplest example that I can give you. So in the state budget, for example, let me get back. I turned ahead of myself. Let's see. In the state budget, there was a reduction for $10 million in technology for next year's proposed budget. $10 million, okay, that's a sizable amount. It's probably 25-30% of the technology budget. I talked about shifting the sand in the sandbox. So what they have done is they've said, okay, in the first round of the federal funding, of course, we did one-on-one devices, Chromebooks. We did new monitors in each of the classrooms. We improved our infrastructure for online learning. All of these are technology-related type expenditures. We use those federal dollars to make those improvements in our district that we would not have been able to do otherwise. So what the state has done, in our opinion, is they have reduced the technology allocation that would normally go to schools, shifted it from discretionary funding and shifted it to the career ladder. And those are ways in which they're saying you can use some of these federal dollars to offset some of the money that we would give you otherwise, and so we're going to earmark or place money in different funding sources for you. How it will all work is yet to be unknown, but that's kind of the intent, I believe, behind what they're trying to do here.
Do you know if that's going to be retroactive, or is it just whenever they pass it, then that's be active from that point?
We can't answer those questions right now, to be honest. The intent is for the state to be able to for them to be able to show that they are funding movement for this fiscal year that was part of the 5% governor's holdback. Now, what districts, local school districts do across the state and how they address that as individual school districts may take shape in a variety of different forms. And I don't know at this point in time that we could really speak more as to the direction or the recommendation that we'll be making to you as a board of trustees. But we will have something, just not yet. So, okay. Well, thank you for your patience, and let me describe that a little bit. I just have two more items. And let's see. Which one do we have first? I can't remember.
Yeah.
SIP first.
Oh, yes, the SIP recommendation. We talked with you extensively about our recommendations and just would recommend that the board would approve that as an item of business tonight. And then lastly, our letter to the city of Pocatello in regard to making a contribution of $25,000 to the new proposed parking lot that will sit directly north of Tendoy Elementary School, which will be of benefit for our staff and for patrons of the district. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. I drove by that. 70s lots there.
Used to be a gas station.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah.
This boardroom looks like the movie theater last night that I was attending, so.
They're open?
Yeah, we went and saw a movie actually last night. Okay, 4 little items on my section of the agenda tonight, and I guess we'll start with Infinite Campus and technology updates, that sort of thing. Just to let you know, we did do our IC submission just before the break last month. I think when we had our discussion in board meeting a month ago, we were in preparation of doing that, and so we did get it done. And so we're done until March, which is like a little mini vacation. You've heard a little bit tonight about technology and monitors and buying new technology. Before the break, the technology folks had spent several weeks getting all the monitors installed, those new interactive monitors installed in the elementary schools. Those are replacing those old overhead projectors like we had in here, replacing with something a little more visible in the classroom. All of the elementaries were done just prior to the break. They are now starting into the secondary schools, and from what we know, Alameda was installed this week and working very well, from what Kevin was telling me earlier tonight. So they are in the midst of getting the secondaries up and running. And so they've been busy. In your packet is some pages referencing the student enrollment, and we continue to be down about 500 students. And as we were talking today in cabinet meeting, elementary actually had a little bit of an uptick with kids coming back.
About a net increase of 29 students.
So that's good news. But the 500 students is approximately 4%. I think it was 3.9 when I calculated it out. We're doing actually pretty good when you can see that some of the districts around the state had drops of less or more than 9%. Coeur d'Alene saw a 9% drop. West Ada 6.5%, Valley View 6.5%, Boise 6.5%. So our 4% is not looking too bad. Although that is an indication that there's going to be some funds tied up in protection this year, and how that's all going to play out, we won't know for about another 3 or 4 weeks when that February payment comes out. So Anyway, unless you have other questions about enrollment and the membership numbers, we'll continue on to the next section then. Wellness dashboard, you have that in your packet as well.
Looks like we're
And-
gonna have to pay this year.
What's that?
Looks like we're gonna have to pay more this year.
Yeah, and you know, some of these things aren't unexpected. We've talked about some large claims that we've had, and so they're starting to hit us. And I'm pretty sure that we're not gonna be the only insured that's gonna run into this situation where, especially if there's any sort of COVID-related costs, that some of them are gonna be quite large. So we're starting to see that sort of thing. 105% is not too bad, actually, so overall, we're still, Sean didn't put the year-to-date on here, we're still looking pretty good for overall, for the year-to-date. And the last item on my part of the agenda is our health fair update. And our health fairs this year are gonna be scaled back, no vendors, but we're still gonna offer all those things that will help the employees comply with their wellness requirements. So the blood draws and the looking at your blood pressure, your weight, and that sort of thing are all gonna be part of it. So if any of you are interested in joining us on Saturday the 23rd or Saturday the 30th, let me know. We'll get you in. For this coming Saturday, we're actually doing pretty good in the way of, I don't know what I'm doing with all my reports. We are about 92% full on this coming Saturday, so that's pretty good. The following Saturday, just a little over 58%, so it'll fill up over the next week or so. Mammograms, we were able to get quite a few extra dates this year. And through the middle of around February, we still have about 72 spots available. So I'm pretty sure they'll fill up as well, because they usually do. And of course, we have our COVID clinic. And Courtney mentioned a little bit about the first one. Went very well. We learned a couple things during that, and so we're going to scale back the time that we are going to need to send 220 people through. But we do have one Friday night and one Saturday morning, that coincides with our health fair. So I opened up the links for those tonight, and so they're currently active for our 60-year-olds and older. And tomorrow we'll open it up to everybody else. So we anticipate those 350 spots that we have over this weekend to probably fill by tomorrow night. And then we'll go from there on scheduling additional clinics when vaccine becomes available from the health department. Okay. So with that concludes my report, unless you have other questions or comments or clarifications.
You just did a good job on that COVID vaccination.
It came quick.
Yeah, it was good.
We had 48 hours to kind of get our act together, and luckily we were somewhat prepared, and it worked out well.
Yeah, I was impressed.
It worked out well.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Superintendent.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have really kind of a couple of calendar items for you. So first up is the monthly calendar with schedule. And you'll see a student discipline hearing scheduled on the 27th, beginning at 3:30. And currently, we only have one, so we'll hope that trend continues. January 28th, District Curriculum Committee at 8:30. February 9th at 4 o'clock will be our work session. Typically, we have that work session at noon, but I asked Ms. Johnson just to combine the work session with our next special meeting in regard to instructional models, so we can just roll from one pretty much right into the other. Hopefully that will work okay for your calendars. And then that way we are mindful that people could maybe take some time a little bit later in the day to join us if they would like. Then February 10th, again, student discipline hearings are scheduled, and we won't know for a couple weeks where we'll be there. Ed Foundation meeting, conference room, February 11th, February 12th. Local issues, if that's going, I'm not sure if it is. I think it was suspended for a time, but
Yeah,
maybe
sure.
you're back to Zoom by then. And then we'll see Valentine's Day on the 14th and February 16th, regular board meeting, and then it kind of starts over. So that's your calendar for the month. Next up is the board meeting schedule for 21-22. And you'll recall that we talked about this at work session. Essentially, we're just adding in a couple of work session meetings where we would normally have other conflicts. We've just put those on your calendar, but if necessary, pretty much. So those are my two items tonight for you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Okay, they're done. No questions. So next on the agenda is time for the public written comment pertinent to agenda items, and no written comment was received, and we'll move on. We're now moving to the action items. The first is to approve the Head Start self-assessment plan. Is there a motion?
I move that we approve the Head Start self-assessment plan as presented.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Hearing none opposed, that motion is passed. The next item is to approve the early graduation requests.
I hereby move that the board approve the early graduation request as presented.
I'll second.
Okay, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Hearing none opposed, the motion is passed. Next item of business to hear on second reading for adoption, the following policies. 5106, gifts and contributions to schools, and 8106 or 06, district attendance areas and student transfer. Is there a motion?
I hereby move that the board hear on second reading for adoption the following policies as presented. Policy 5106 and policy 8106.
I'll second.
Okay, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That motion has passed. Next item is to approve the capital improvements program, SIP projects for the 21-22 school year. Is there a motion?
I move we approve the SIP projects plan for the 2021-2022 school year.
I'll second the motion.
Any discussion? I'd like to say, though, that if you would have taken it, I'd gone back on that board. I sure missed that. That's fun talking about that stuff.
It is.
Good. And heard the second, so all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That motion is passed. And the next item is to approve the request from the City of Pocatello to partner with the district on parking lot improvement projects.
I hereby move that the board approve the request from the City of Pocatello to partner with the district on a parking lot improvement project up to $25,000 as presented.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, any discussion? I'd like to say a lot about it. I think it's a waste of time, but they have to do it, and they're just asking us to help. We got forced into it. Anyway, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Hearing
Well,
none.
but you know, you have to say, they've helped us with projects. I mean, supported us in projects.
Yes, I mean, they're good partners.
Yeah.
Good
So
partners,
I-
that's
I
why there's
think
no
that in good faith.
problem, but,
They still retain the property, and they.
Yeah.
yes, they do.
Yeah,
Yes, they do.
so.
Did we get a vote on that one, Brenda?
Got the first and the second, and I think that we did all those in favor.
Yeah.
Yes,
did.
we all said in favor, and that's when we,
Yeah.
Oh,
and that motion is passed then.
Right.
The final item is to adopt the amended 2021-2022 board meeting schedule. Is there a motion?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I move that we adopt the amended 24, or 21-22 board meeting schedule as presented.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Hearing none opposed, they're all in favor. That motion is passed. This concludes this meeting, and I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I move we adjourn.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Hearing that, the motion is passed, and we are adjourned.